Assessments underway nearly 24 hours after a fire at the Raleigh Convention Center. A look at the damage inside and the growing list of events now postponed.
The cold air is here and it's sticking around, but another round of rain is on the way. I'm breaking down when and where there could be a brief wintry mix coming up.
The stalemate between UNC Health and Cigna isn't over, leaving thousands without coverage. We've had a lot of questions about what's at play and the things you can do to protect yourself. Tonight, we look into your options if you find yourself in the middle of a healthcare standoff. Well, the fire is out, but the story is far from over. Thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe. The city said it was a natural gas leak in the HVAC system that caused this fire at the Raleigh Convention Center. And our drone video really does seem to back that up. Look at the debris and the damage all on the roof. The city says this will cost $2 million to fix. But the real damage comes in the form of lost economic impact. At least 3 events scheduled at the convention center have either postponed or relocated. 2 cheer competitions and a cybersecurity convention. Meantime, we're about 20 hours into the cleanup process. WRAL's Flynn Snyder joining us now live at the Raleigh Convention Center. Crews have been working outside and inside. Flynn, you got a look at what the fire did to the building's interior.
Yeah, Ashley, there are still a few work trucks outside the convention center as crews inside work to assess and clean up that damage. Take a look at this video. This shows crews mopping up water from the sprinklers, firefighters, and the earlier rains from today. City officials say the fire caused part of the roof to leak. Engineers also spent the day ensuring the roof was structurally sound and safe to be on so that investigators could access the heating and AC unit tied to this blaze. Teams here say it is very early on and they are still assessing the damage in this 500,000 square foot facility. While they're assessing, they're also having to talk with these event organizers who are now changing plans.
We're trying to find other places that perhaps they can hold their event, or can we move the date, or can we not make this work? And so we're working on this week, starting on next week, and then we'll see from there if it's any longer or if that solves it all.
Yeah, so organizers of events that were planned here are having to make adjustments quickly. City officials told us that move-in was supposed to be today for an event planned here in the coming days. That obviously did not happen. City officials are hoping to have a better timeline of when things could get back to normal here by the end of the week. Flynn Snyder, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And we will be sure to keep us posted on that. We wanted to know if this fire could have been prevented, if something wasn't right with the building. WRAL Investigates found the most recent inspection records for the convention center dated May of this year. They found several failures the city says did get fixed. WRAL's Sean Gallagher got a look at those records and brought that information to Raleigh's mayor.
Broadcastified radio traffic depicted the chaos for firefighters Monday night.
Fires on the roof. I repeat, the fire's on the roof.
The fire was out in less than 30 minutes, but today, questions still burning.
How quickly can we get the convention center back up and running normally?
Raleigh Mayor Janet Cowell spoke to me before Tuesday's city council meeting, where she addressed the latest updates about the status of the convention center.
Cybersecurity, which was supposed to have an event starting tomorrow, they have decided, given the circumstances, that they will find alternative venues. I think we could all guess that probably if there's some immediate event, it could well be delayed.
9 items marked as failed in its most recent annual inspection. Included in that list, the fire alarm system, sprinklers, and an automatic fire door, which the city says were all fixed prior to last night's fire.
Is that concerning when you hear a building that's as important to downtown Raleigh and really the city as a whole had, some things fall through the cracks?
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely all the questions that we'll be asking. And we have invested a lot, in the building. So it is obviously concerning that there was a gas leak and that it caused as much damage as it did.
Damage we got an up-close look at today from drone video. The charred remains of an HVAC system that was engulfed in flames less than 24 hours ago, totaling some $2 million in damage. Cowell still trying to figure out if that could be covered by insurance, but the true damages lie ahead.
I think the bigger cost will be if there's disruption to ongoing activities and the rents and the leases.
Sean Gallagher, WRAL News in Raleigh.
We should put that $2 million worth of damage into perspective. Of course, that's a lot of money for you and me. but not for a convention center covered by insurance. Plus, the Raleigh Convention Center is in the middle of a $400 million expansion. They released these renderings back in October showing what the project will look like when it's done. This will expand the convention center to just under 800,000 square feet. That's almost the size of Buckingham Palace. The project is expected to wrap up in about 2 years. First, they have to relocate Red Hat Amphitheater, and that work is already underway. It's also worth noting we've seen a handful of major fires in downtown Raleigh over the years. Maybe you remember when Green Shields Pub and Brewery caught fire in 2004. It was the anchor of Raleigh's city market. The fire started in the ventilation system above the kitchen, and the business had to close. Then in 2012, there was the fire that destroyed the Hibernian Pub on Glenwood South. A fire suppression system in the kitchen put out the initial fire, but the flames had already spread to walls and the ceiling, and there was no sprinkler system in the building. Amazingly, nobody was hurt, and the pub's owner did rebuild. Gravy on Wilmington Street caught fire in 2019 after someone left a stove on. Similar to what we saw last night, firefighters surrounded that area. There was minor damage, and the restaurant reopened after a few days. In 2020, the Devon apartment building on Boylan Avenue, it caught fire. No one was hurt, and only 2 units were damaged in the end. But it was 2017. Remember that? When we saw downtown Raleigh's last major fire. Construction was underway at the Metropolitan Apartments, and the building went up in flames. Look at that. 9 other nearby buildings were damaged. You could see the flames and the smoke for miles. The City of Raleigh spokesperson talked about this with us last night over the phone during WRAL's breaking news coverage.
Talking in here tonight about how this is so reminiscent of the Metropolitan apartment fire in downtown Raleigh back in 2017. Compare that, because you were here covering it, with what happened tonight.
I don't think you can compare it. Yeah. I mean, the 2017 fire was the worst fire in 100 years, and that went on for hours and hours, and there was glass shattered all over the streets, and yeah, I got called out to that and to cover that, but no, there is no comparison. This was out within like 30 to 45 minutes.
Investigators never figured out what caused the fire, but the apartment building project was eventually finished, and it reopened to residents in 2019. You can count on WRAL to bring any updates on the Raleigh Convention Center fire, what's next for events planned in the days and weeks ahead, as well as any major developments from the fire investigation. We will bring you those updates on the air and, of course, on the WRAL app and on WRAL.com. All right, let's move now to the forecast. So you're saying there's a chance a wintry mix is possible in our area this Friday, at least according to one model. Kat is live at Pullen Park, where they're kicking off the Holiday Express. Kat, some people are really hopeful, but it doesn't sound like anyone will be needing a sled this weekend.
No, we're not expecting a big snowstorm anywhere in our viewing area at this point for Friday. But I do have to let you know we are lined up for the WRAL Carousel here at Pullen Park. It is opening night, and it is so much fun out here. Let's take a quick look at the forecast, though, because it is really cooling off. You'll need the coat, and you're going to need to keep your coat handy throughout the week. Our next weather maker coming on Friday is going to be another round of cold rain for most of us in our area, but there is a chance of a wintry mix as the rain starts. There could be some sleet, some freezing rain, even some snowflakes mixed in, primarily north of I-85. Like I said, though, just a snowstorm is unlikely. We're not expecting a winter wonderland out of this. And here's the latest hand-drawn WRAL forecast map for the precipitation types. It's a cold rain from Wake County points south and east. You can see that narrow line in pink where we could see things begin as a wintry mix and then change over to rain. And it's really only in southern Virginia, the extreme northern part of our state, where we have the chance to see a period of only snow out of this system. Back out here live at Pullen Park, everybody is gearing up to go. They are getting on the carousel, the WRAL carousel, and we are looking forward to that. We'll show you some of the other sites across Pullen Park for the Holiday Express coming up.
I absolutely love the carousel, Kat. Thanks. Hey, let's roll through some of today's other big headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. New details in the Faith Hedgepeth case. This focuses on the suspect accused of killing her, Miguel Olivares. A new order questions the whereabouts of a blood sample that Chapel Hill police took at the scene back in 2012. The department says they don't have it. They have until the end of the week to provide an explanation and a response. We now know the man charged in the shooting death of a 12-year-old was out of jail on pre-trial release at the time. 20-year-old Tyron Washington had been facing 2 misdemeanor charges. One involved pointing a gun. Well, now Washington faces a much more serious charge, involuntary manslaughter. WRAL Stewart died in the shooting last week. More charges could be filed. Washington was given a $50,000 bond. Another school bus crashed in Durham County today. Another one. This picture of the crash was taken this morning on East Club Boulevard. The district says 4 students were on board. Nobody was hurt, and the bus continued its route as normal. Durham Public Schools opened its own investigation into the other school bus crash this week. 20 elementary students were on that bus yesterday on Johnston Mill Road. 10 were injured. The driver received a citation. And now the district will decide if they need to take any further action to keep this from happening again. Raleigh City Council wants your feedback on a plan to build even taller buildings in North Hills. Today, they put a public hearing on the agenda scheduled for January 6th. A zoning request would clear the way for buildings as tall as 37 stories. The plan is to build one of these towers near Six Forks Road and Lassiter Mill Road. A breast cancer survivor in need of a life-extending surgery caught in the middle of negotiations between 2 healthcare companies. I'm talking about UNC Health and Cigna, a provider and an insurer failing to make a deal. And they're not the only ones. Let's get a quick status check, because it's the patients who lose out in the end. It is time for a good question we got in the 7 p.m. inbox. We've been loving all the emails you've been sending to 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Keep it coming. Tonight's good question has to do with a major story touching thousands of people in North Carolina. The ongoing back and forth between insurance companies and healthcare providers. The one in the headlines right now is UNC Health and Cigna, because the 2 sides have not come to an agreement. Their contract expired this week. Here's the question we got from a viewer named Dixon. He wrote, "I don't want to be in the mess that Cigna customers are in. How can I find out when insurance companies' contracts with healthcare companies renew?" That's a good question. And yes, this really is a mess for many of the 65,000 Cigna customers using UNC Health. We heard from a breast cancer survivor who had a scheduled hysterectomy today. For a minute there, it sounded like it wasn't going to happen. But after jumping through a bunch of hoops, Cigna covered it. WRAL's Sean Gallagher has been reporting on her story. I asked him about what she went through.
That got put on the books over a year ago, and then she just found out a couple of weeks before Tuesday that that was going to have to be canceled, or she would have to pay $20,000 in order to get it done, just because Cigna and UNC Health couldn't figure out this dispute.
She had to fiercely advocate for herself to get her expensive surgery covered through something called continuity of care. But talk about a stressful situation for someone who should be focusing on prepping her body for surgery and recovery. So let's get back to Dixon's question. How can I find out when insurance companies' contracts with healthcare companies renew? Right off the bat, let me just say that our major healthcare networks do list which insurance companies they contract with. We found these pages on the websites for WakeMed, Duke Health, and UNC Health. They tell you which insurance plans are accepted at their facilities, but they do not make it easy to find out when those contracts expire. So here's what we do know based on our reporting over the past few years. UNC Health reached a long-term deal with United Healthcare in March 2024. Duke Health reached a long-term deal with United a few months later. But right now, United is out of network for WakeMed. The 2 sides have not reached a deal, and the contract expired last month. However, WakeMed is all good with Cigna and Aetna for now. Those deals don't expire until end of next year. Duke Health is also simpatico with Aetna. They reached a deal a couple of months ago, back in October. And while we're at it, UNC, Duke, and WakeMed all have deals with Blue Cross Blue Shield. WakeMed's expires in 2027. Did you get all that? I know, it's confusing. And it's still unclear when some of those deals end. You heard the deadlines for WakeMed. I reached out to Duke Health and UNC Health. Neither could give me concrete dates. But it makes sense why these deals are difficult to make, right? I mean, think about all of the healthcare news you've been seeing over the past few years. Inflation, increased labor costs, cuts to Medicaid, tariffs on supplies, the potential swell of uninsured patients if Affordable Care Act subsidies expire. I think it's safe to assume all of these things and more are taken into account in negotiations. But we aren't in the room for those conversations. So we have to be our own advocates. Think of the woman with breast cancer who Sean Gallagher was telling us about, who almost missed her life-extending surgery. If it wasn't for her dogged efforts to get her surgery covered, threatening to take her story to the news, pushing to make sure the surgery fell under continuity of care, she may not have had that surgery at all. Tell us what you think. What part of the story are we missing? Email us 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What has your experience been navigating the in-network, out-of-network frustrations? And what other good questions do you have about healthcare or really anything else that's important to you? We want to hear it. Tell us what's on your mind, and we'll talk about it here, right here at 7 o'clock. Let's get to a weather story that is on our radar tonight. It's that map Kat showed us earlier in the newscasts. Our meteorologists hand draw this, okay? That pink area you see means a wintry mix is possible this Friday. Maybe not in Wake County, but it could happen in Durham, Orange, and Vance counties. Kat is joining us live at Pollen Park tonight. Kat, we're going to be keeping an eye on the forecast. But hey, we got to talk about Pollen Park. The rain has cleared up. It's a nice night.
It is one of the biggest events of the year across the Triangle. And tonight is the first night of the Pollen Park Holiday Express. Check out the line to meet Santa Claus that we have over here. I got to talk to the big man earlier. Of course, I asked him for some snow this season. What about you? What is your plan? Do you have something big you're asking Santa for this year?
Yeah, a lot of Savannah banana stuff.
Savannah bananas. I have a friend who saw them and they're pretty cool. Thank you for your help. What about you? Do you have a big wish for Santa?
A baby doll with the thing for it.
That is awesome. I love a good baby doll. Thank you so much. It's fun to talk to the kids. And, of course, fun to talk to Santa. He said he'd do his best with the snow for me this year. But let's take a look at the forecast. I'll let you know if that snow's coming sooner rather than later. Out here tonight, no snow, just the cold, 41 degrees. And as this event ends around 9 o'clock, it'll be about 40 degrees out here. It's a chilly night, but I've been able to forego the gloves so far. That's the good news. 37 in Roxborough, 43 in the Triangle, 45 degrees in Fayetteville at this hour. Our system from earlier today, long gone. The rain has cleared. Still a lot of cloud cover out there as I look up at the sky right now, but those clouds will clear tonight. And then the next system to watch is going to move in on Friday. Friday morning, 6 a.m., 40s in Fayetteville, 38 in Raleigh, 32 in Roxborough. So Roxborough, South Hill, those are the areas, if we can get the precipitation to make it far enough north in the morning, that could see this begin as a wintry mix. 9 a.m., still below freezing up by the Virginia border, but still above freezing in the Triangle, likely close in Durham, but not quite there. And as we move ahead, temperatures begin to warm up after lunchtime. So even Roxborough and our northern counties closer to Virginia would likely see this change over to a chilly rain as we head a little bit later in the afternoon hours. It's a borderline setup for them. We will be watching this very closely. At this point, though, to be clear, you are not seeing a lot of blue on the map. It's not going to be a winter wonderland, go sledding type of situation, and it certainly doesn't look that way from the Triangle points south, but we're going to watch right along the Virginia border. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at this hour, we will be lighting the towers in Rocky Mount, Durham, and Raleigh. It's 43 at the towers right now, and tomorrow night it is going to be even colder because we've got mostly clear skies in the forecast at that hour, and that really allows all the heat to escape from the day back up in the atmosphere and cool things down for us. We're keeping a close eye on Friday. If you look closely at the 7-day, you'll notice we changed the icon to something a bit more interesting. In the meantime, we are taking a little bit of a vacation here to the North Pole. Santa is in, and there is a long line of kids ready to ask for their gifts this year. You can see behind me, and a lot of hot chocolate in hand. Is the hot chocolate good? Is it good hot chocolate? Nice. Cheers, girls.
Oh, it's so fun being out there. Have a blast. What a great time. Thank you, Kat. We've got our one last thing after the break. Don't go anywhere. Our one last thing takes us to the Live Center. Eric, you've got some updates here on the last night's fire.
Ashley, that's right. These updates coming in just the last couple of minutes live from Raleigh City Council. That meeting ongoing right now. WRAL's Flynn Snyder in there for us. The mayor said tonight that they're going to have to install a temporary roof to prevent more water damage at the Raleigh Convention Center after last night's fire. The mayor saying, quote, "This is getting a little bit more complex. There are a lot of moving parts here." The mayor also said they're still in the review phase, and it is likely to take some time before they're able to get the convention center back open to the public. She also asked that anybody with any upcoming events here at the convention center reach out to city government, city leadership for more guidance on what to do next.
We know that there are a number of events that are already finding new places to go or having to reschedule altogether. Eric, thanks. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow our 7 o'clock news is going to look a little bit different. We've got our WRAL tower lighting special, and it airs right here on WRAL News at 7 o'clock. We will light the towers and have live entertainment from Rocky Mount, Durham, and right here in Raleigh on Western Boulevard as well. We hope you'll join us. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.